it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, but it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism.
I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not, it doesn't say I'm white, I voted for Donald Trump because of racism. That's not what stat. What stat are you talking about?
Let me just dissect the two.
Yes, you can. There's a lot
Hold on.
I want to talk about The View. The View having a complete meltdown over Bill Maher's comments about identity politics and what lost them the election. I'm often excited about the perspective of them never learning their lesson. They're sore losers. It's like playing in a football game. When you lose the game, you have to swallow that pill and go back and look at that film and find out what did we do wrong so that we can win the game. If you lose and the first thing you do is point fingers at somebody else and you feel like you don't need to watch the film because the refs cheated the game, you ain't gonna never win another game. You got to go look at it, and when you go look at the film, in every situation I've ever been in football, you look at the film, you go, you know what? We should have had a shutout. You're supposed to be in the A gap. If you would have done your assignment, they would have had 0 rushing yards the whole game. You didn't do your assignment. You didn't pull. I mean, the guy pulled, and you didn't get in your gap. You don't pay attention in film all week. You missed the tackle in the hole. It's just you and him. I guess he the man in the house, and you don't want to tackle today. I mean, you go back and look at the film, you say there's a whole bunch of things we could have done differently to win. Democrats should do that, but they're not. They're pointing the finger at the ref at the field goal. See, we lost by a field goal because the ref called a pass interference that never happened. It's like the game doesn't come down to a pass interference. You had all kind of stuff. You shouldn't even been close. Anyway, roll the clip.
A new article in the Wall Street Journal claims that the shift to the right in this election reveals that Americans view themselves as belonging to a particular economic class more than their race and gender. And Bill Maher said it's not the only thing Democrats got wrong. Take a look.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. No. Oh, what, we did? Asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Because she didn't. Because she didn't. She didn't.
Again, I got my popcorn. I don't know why people did what they did. I see all these reasons. And so, okay, time will tell. But what do y'all think?
I just, I know that as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends. But it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist, even if your lived experience doesn't.
Hold on. The American people don't want to believe that everybody that voted for Trump is sexist. I mean, half of them, 2/3 of them. I mean, what number are you putting on it? People aren't stupid. Everybody is homophobic and racist and sexist and all this stuff. Everybody. Ma'am, you're taking no accountability for y'all loss. And I'm happy. I'm happy for it because we're going to beat y'all again if you keep doing this. But the people aren't stupid enough to think that nobody cares about. People will elect a woman if y'all can put up a good one. Y'all put up y'all put up the most terrible women that could have ran for office. I don't think y'all could have gotten any worse. You picked a crook. Hillary Clinton was a crook. Them WikiLeaks, her deleting 30,000 emails. She was a crook. What do y'all she should be in jail. That's one. And then y'all put a woman that can't even articulate a policy position. She was on everybody's channel. Didn't go on Joe Rogan because she was going to get killed on there. She had all the opportunity in the world when they say, what are you going to do for the country? She couldn't even answer that one. She couldn't answer, what am I going to do for the country? How are you different than Joe Biden? What are you going to do differently than the failing administration? They literally throw it a softball. They throw it a softball. What are you going to do differently than the administration that's failing? How are you going to be a new change to a new? Nothing comes to mind. Ma'am, you could have just lied. You couldn't even say nothing. Two of the worst women to ever run for office. They put them up. That's why people didn't vote for them. Will I vote for a female president? Yeah. I don't think that's the way it should go. I think men are supposed to lead, and I think good men should be in leadership positions. But when good men fail because they're wussies, then there's a woman that step up and taking charge. I'm okay with that. As long as you're gonna do what's right by the American people, I don't care what's between your legs. Do right by us, and we'll vote for you. But you can't get mad because you lose and go, it's misogyny. It's misogyny. Roll the clip.
Tell you that it exists. And, the facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to who voted for Kamala Harris. It's very clear. It's not only clear by race, but it's also clear by education. And so the notion somehow that.
Go back. I want to see that one where she was saying race. So when Lukey and Dookie and Stookie play it.
The facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for.
All right, stop right there. So you guys can kind of see this on the chart. If you look at it, there's really not a clear racial divide. The only big division is black people. I'm in the way. The only big division is black people. I want y'all to, y'all can't see that. I can see it big as on the TV. Listen, I want y'all to understand this. The only clear divide is black folks. Other is 54%. That's not a big, that's 4% from 50-50. Hispanics, 54%. That's 4% from 50-50. Asians, 54. Hispanics was 52. Asians is 54. That's 4 percentage points from 50-50. White men, thank you, white men. And thank you, whites. We love you. Thank you, Nick. I want to thank you for your service to this country, for voting for Trump. Because if it wasn't for y'all, we'd be in hell. So 57%, that's just 7 percentage points from the middle. So if you look at the other, what is other? I don't know. Somebody just don't want to pick. I don't know. They're pretty competitive. This can swing either way depending on the election. Asian can swing either way depending on the election. Hispanic can swing any way put on an election. And whites can swing. Black people are the only ones that's this silly. 85%. It's clear that black people are struggling. Everybody else is balanced. Everybody else is like, maybe this time we like these people, this time we like other people. Black people are the only ones. 85%. Black people almost voted for Democrats as much as two different races racial categories voted for Democrats. That means everybody voted for Democrat. How silly do you have to be for your number to be 13? How you 13? How your number 13? 13 to 85. What are y'all smoking? The crack epidemic has residual effects. And her brain don't know the difference. This is pretty fair, except them. So it ain't no clear racial divide. Black folks are the only ones that's outliers. Roll it.
Trump, as opposed to who voted for Kamala Harris. It's very clear. It's not only clear by race, but it's also clear by education. And so the notion somehow that is not true, this is by education.
Education. That tells you the more education you get, the stupider you get. That's what it proves to me. It don't prove that you smarter with higher education. You just stupider. Most of the people in America that never went to college, these are your entrepreneurs. These are your hardworking people that work every single day of the week, and they the ones keep everything going. Most of these people are truck drivers and everything else. They didn't have to go to college. They can't see the mouse? Oh, okay. So y'all can see that number at the top. I don't have to, y'all can see the statistics, then pop me back in the screen. So y'all can see the stats. So we already seen them. Can they see the mouse now? No. Oh, they never see the mouse. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Y'all can't never see the mouse. I can point right here. These people, hardworking, everyday people that had to go out and grind and get it. They did not have the money to go waste in college and universities. They had to work a trade, and they did it from a very young age. They didn't go to college, and they didn't need to go to college. You go down here, attended college but received no degree. That's people that gave it a try, but they realized, I ain't got time for this. I got to go get a real job. Associate's degree. These are people that are saying, I worked and I got something on paper to get this little job, but I understand the American dream does not mean that I have to get a bachelor's degree. Then you get indoctrinated. The indoctrination camps start kicking in. As you notice, the more educated, educated, the more they vote for Democrats. Have you put that in perspective? The more you get exposed to college, the dumber you get, and the more you turn into a leftist nut job. That's just my opinion on it. Somebody can disagree with me. So Sonny Holston, with her raggedy butt, believe that this is somehow a negative towards Trump supporters. No, it just tells you that the institutions are brainwashing the F out of you. That's what it's telling you. Roll it.
Those who attended college voted for her at a higher degree than those that didn't.
But I think
I've
you're
said
missing
that.
his point.
Let me just finish. And so I've said that before, and there was so much backlash because I think it's an uncomfortable, inconvenient truth about this
country.
country.
His whole point is they didn't vote for him because of racism and misogyny. They voted for him because they felt like, I think the biggest common denominator in this election is people want a good life and ability to provide for their family.
Well,
and whether we agree or not with Donald Trump's plans,
Black people
they thought that he was reflective.
One of the poorest demographics in this country, but they voted for Kamala Harris.
But there was a split, and more of them voted for Donald Trump than had historically. I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not, it doesn't say I'm white, I voted for Donald Trump because of racism. That's not what stat. What stat are you talking about?
Let me just dissect.
Yes, you can. There's a lot
Hold on. Calm down. Everybody just take a breath. Take a breath.
Well,
take a beat.
Well, let me jump in here because I think, Sonny, what you say is valid. And I think absolutely that is part of the problem. But when we hang our hat on that's the only problem or the main.
Saying it's the only.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying the backlash is that when people hang their hat on that being the only reason, any criticism of Vice President Harris must be because she's a woman or she's black. I voted for Hillary Clinton, not because she was a woman, she was the most qualified. I voted for Vice President Kamala Harris because more of my values fell in line with what she stood for. So all of that can be true. There is something here to the socioeconomic class, though, that is crossing racial divide in academic and education, too. Americans with a college degree 30 years ago were roughly 20% of the population and held the same percentage of household wealth as those without a degree. Yeah. 30 years later, this is important, Americans with a college degree account for 38% of the population and 73% of the household wealth. The haves and the have-nots have gone so far apart that they are rising up right now, and they cross every line of our democracy.
Okay, can I?
All right, hold on a second. Let me, before this dummy start talking, let me just address this real quick. This is the problem with statistical data points. It tells you absolutely nothing. It confirms your own bias. Because just because you have a bachelor's degree doesn't mean you have a bachelor's degree in the same thing. People go to school and get a degree in family studies and arts. That's nothing compared to you getting a bachelor's degree in something that you actually use. Because the bottom line is that when you go to school to get a degree, the question is the effectiveness of the degree. Are you using it? Are you using it and making money off of it? Or did you just go to get a degree to say you got a degree? And then, how much debt are you in? I mean, all this other stuff is factors that conclude to the fact that you may have a degree, but you may be living worse off than a person with no degree. Because the person with no degree didn't want to got a job, and then you looking for a job, and their experience supersede anything you learned at a university. And then every university is not created equal. You get a degree from ASU versus getting a degree from University of Arizona. ASU, you ain't gonna go nowhere in life. Y'all know we rivals, right? So ASU, you might as well not went to school. You go to U of A, you get a great education. All right? So, yeah, I'm joking, but you get what I'm saying. You go to Penn State, you go to some prestigious university, your bachelor's degree or your master's degree have a heavier weight. You go to Eller College at the University of Arizona for finances, it holds a higher weight. And so college, it's not all equal even in that sense. And then if you get an associate's degree or you had some college, what does that even mean? Did you go in person? Was that online? Was that 40 years ago or was that 10 years ago? It gives no gravitas to the argument by just throwing out statistical data points. And the funny thing is that they did not show the percentage of black people who were educated and how they voted. Because when you look at black folks, you say, well, black educated folks may have voted for Republicans more than black non-educated folks. But that's not in the argument. The argument is just education and who voted for who. It doesn't say what demographic voted for what. And so it's a lot of factors there that I think they're not identifying. Roll it.
Look, go ahead. I think most people are not saying that it was all about sexism and it was all about racism. Right. Most people are not saying that. I would say to Bill Maher, who I like, whose show I've been on several times, that maybe, just maybe, when you live life as a woman and as a woman of color, you feel it and you know it a little bit more than a white man does in America. And so I'm not saying,
hold on. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I'm talking. How do you know what a white man is experiencing? You ain't a white man. They love to throw this out there and say, well, you don't know what it's like to be a minority in this country. You don't know what it's like. I go through this, I go through this. How do you know what white people go through? You ain't in their shoes. How you know they don't get stopped at a store because they white? Y'all don't know. You ain't in their shoes. You don't know what it feel like to be a white person. But yet you can project that you know that they're not experiencing what you're experiencing. Or you know that they're having a better experience than you having. How do you know that and you ain't white? Oh, because some white guy that want to sleep with you told you that one day on a date. Come on, man. Or somebody that's kissing your butt because they're a liberal lunatic. I don't know what it's like. I mean, I know what it's like to be a human being. I know what it's like to be a man. I know what it's like to work hard. I know what it's like to be in environments that transcend the color of your skin. But if you want to go with the color of your skin, if a white guy don't know what it's like to be a black man in America, then I equally don't know what it's like to be a white man in America. And although I may feel like, and I don't feel this way, but I'm saying if I did feel like that people are prejudiced against me and it's harder for me to make it in life, how do I know the white man isn't experiencing the same thing? How would I know that? I'm assuming that I'm experiencing something, and I'm assuming I know his experience. When I was a cop, I was one of the most educated people on the department. A lot of these white guys didn't have an education. You don't even need a GED to be a cop. I would argue that a lot of them did go to college to some degree, but a lot of them didn't. And I was more educated than a lot of them. 100% of the black people that worked at Tucson Police Department all had bachelor's degrees or higher. 100% of the black people on the police department. That wasn't true for the white people in the police department. So are we privileged? You get what I'm saying? If you put a statistical data out, you will say that the black people had 100% college and the white people didn't. That mean they're dumber than us? No, those things don't really give a good illustration of the truth. But I don't know what a white man dealing with. And to be honest, man, I got white friends, and I feel like our experiences are very similar. People don't care. Like, I go to the little coffee place, and they give me coffee and stuff, and like, I don't think they treat me good. And there ain't a black face in the city but mine, and maybe another guy that played in the NFL down the street. But they don't treat me any different. I go to the bank. Oh, Officer Tatum, man, I love you, man. I follow you on social media. They treat me good. Even when people don't know who I am, I yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and they treat me fine. I travel all over the country. I go to hotels all over the country. I've stayed everywhere. I've been a lot of places. I've been in black communities, white communities. I've been all over the country. I've been to even with the Israel and with the France. When I was in France, I didn't think people treated me differently because I was black. I didn't get any of that. It's really the lens that you look through. If somehow you think that white people are treating you bad, you're going to see it everywhere. Like, I have a couple instances where stuff happened and I'm like, is this person treating me like this because I'm black? But then I have to go back and look at it and say, man, why would I go down that path? I have no idea what this person is not waving at me when I wave at them when I'm driving by. How do I know they waved at the white man behind me? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta live your life and understand there's nuances and people have a lot of stuff that they go through and you're not unique. Somebody could be having a bad day. That's why they didn't wave at you. It don't have to be nefarious. You know, maybe somebody thought you was somebody else. You know, I had a lady, I was at the bowling alley. I swear this lady looked at me and she just stared at me. The lady looked at me and stared at me like she wanted to talk to me. You know, and people do that to me when they recognize me and they like, is that Officer Tatum? And am I really seeing Officer Tatum right here? But she did that to me and then she was very awkward. I don't know what her disposition is. I only know the story I tell myself in my head. I didn't talk to her about it. She may have recognized me and thought I was Officer Tatum, and she's like, no, I'm definitely not going to go up to this guy because Officer Tatum live in Tucson, which I don't. But people still think I live in Tucson. So anyway, let me let this woman talk. Roll it.
That folks see everything through the lens of racism and sexism. Not everything. But if you're not seeing racism and sexism in America, then you need to clean your lenses.
But yeah.
Because, you know, so this is something that I also find interesting, that when Democrats and liberals talk about race or sexism, it's immediately labeled as identity politics, which has a negative connotation. It's a term that Republicans have coined, and it's been very effective. But when Donald Trump goes to Miami and talks to Cubans, that's not identity politics. When Donald Trump goes to Dearborn, Michigan and promises Arabs something, that's not identity politics. When he goes to Jews and promises them the opposite, that's not identity politics.
So I think it's important that we remember 2/3 of this country does not have a 4-year degree. And in fact, 38% who do live 9 years longer than those who don't. Something is happening in this country. It's a lot of my family who don't have 4-year degrees. They may not even have associate's degrees, who they're working harder than they ever have. They have multiple jobs and they can't get ahead. Kamala Harris had this great thing about $25,000 for first home buyers. That is aspirational, beyond aspirational for a lot of this country. They don't have the credit. They don't have the money to match the other $25,000. This is a real divide here. And when they're told, you know what, we do care about border security, not because we're xenophobic, but because the country is paying more money to house and to help those people.
Then why are the Republicans against giving people a living wage? Why is the Republican Party constantly against
I'm generally for a minimum wage, but a lot of these folks who work at small businesses, not the big corporations, are smart enough to know if there's 50 people at my shop and they raise the minimum wage, a lot of us are losing our jobs. They get that. They don't want a handout. They want a chance to get ahead.
No, and nobody wants a handout. That's why when people started talking about welfare years ago, it's like you weren't talking to people who were on welfare. Nobody wants to be on welfare. Nobody wants to be down. Everybody wants a leg up. We all want to do better for our families. There's not a person, black, white, male, female, who doesn't want that for the family. I like what you said, because as a woman, I see things differently. As a black woman, I see things and hear things differently. I hear when people don't believe that there's an issue. I hear it.
And there is an issue.
And there is an issue. So, but let us just say, you know, I'm glad to hear them sort of saying, yes, we want our police to come when we call them. Because I do recall asking the question why nobody who was running in none of the ads from the other side did they talk about. They talked about what somebody said, but they never talked about what they were going to do and how the police were affected January 6th. They didn't talk about all the destruction that was done. If you care about the cops, you care about all the cops and making them better. Not just a couple. You care about all of them, making them better. We're gonna be talking about this for quite some time.
4 years.
I have no crystal ball, so I don't know how long we're going to do it, but we're doing it today.
Oh, thank God they're done. Oh, my goodness. These women are just terrible women. They're terrible. They couldn't put no smart ones on there. The wasted face finally said something normal today. But, you know, I think it's very interesting when they capitulate and peacock and do all this old crazy stuff, trying to make themselves seem more virtuous than they are. You know, America is not a racist place. I have never experienced true racism in this country. Some people probably did stuff to me I wouldn't know, and I don't give a flying flip. You do something to me and discriminate against me, I'm going to sue you. Or you're going to go to jail if you do something against me and you commit a crime against me because of the color of my skin. Them days are gone. Them days are far gone. I ain't never had a problem. I live around nothing but white people ever since I've been in Tucson. Ever since I've been in Arizona. I ain't never had, if white people was just so racist against black people, I would have so many negative racial encounters in Arizona. It's like the population in Arizona is like 5% black. I'm around nothing but white people everywhere I go. I think the community I live in, I don't even think there's no black people in our community. Maybe there's one. No, I don't think it's a single black person living in my entire community. I live in a gated community. And there's a lot of houses in there. I don't think not one black person there. We had a Halloween party, and I was the only black person in the whole community because I seen everybody, kids, come by the house, and then we went to a little adult party, and ain't no black people there but me. And I ain't never thought about it. I've never one time thought I'm black and everybody else is not black. Man, I'm just like everybody else, man. We talk about the same. We like football, and we watch this. We like the same stuff. Why I got to be different because I'm a little more tan than I ain't never thought of that. I go to my gym. The gym I go to, all my friends are white. And, you know, there's a couple black guys in there that I'm cool with, but some of the guys I'm closest to are white. I ain't never not one time do we be like, oh, you white, I'm black. No, when we like football. We like politics. We all conservative. You know, there's no difference between us. We all love America. One of my good friends, Dustin, he always comment in here saying something crazy. But, you know, he served in this country honorably. You know, what you say? No, I don't think he's in there. He served the country honorably. We got that in common. You know, I served as a police officer. He served in the Army. We both love our country. Like, what's the difference? I remember when I was on the police department, or when I was playing football, we never had any problems. We would joke about racial stuff. I remember when I was a cop, my homeboy joking brought watermelon and fried chicken to the squad dinner, and we thought it was so funny. It was the funniest thing ever because me and him are really good friends and we have fun. And as a joke, he brought a watermelon and some fried chicken and a grape Kool-Aid. And he one-upped me. And so I was trying to find something to do when I bring my food for him. Ain't nobody, you know, we weren't tripping on that stuff, man. We were not tripping on no racial stuff. It's a joke to us nowadays because people don't care about that. We put our life on the line together. We literally go into houses with guns drawn, potentially gonna die, and I trust him with my life, and he trusts me with his life, and we joke, and we tell, we do things like that. But anyway,